Hello, thanks for stopping by. My name is Sarah, and I'm a fourth year project student in the Auditory Development Lab. Over the summer and continuing into this year, I've been working on a project with PhD student Rachel Finnerty, Dr. Constance Inbolt, and Dr. Laurel Trainer examining undergraduates' use of music during the COVID-19 restrictions. So, as we all know, COVID-19, the pandemic, has disrupted many aspects of our lives. On March 13th, McMaster University shut down, and the following week resumed classes in an online remote format. This sudden transition happened right before the final exam period, which obviously is already a stressful time for students. So, with all of this in mind, Rachel was interested in how the pandemic related restrictions and changes were affecting students and how they were combating their anxiety, particularly wondering if students were using music activities to do so. Previous research in both lab and naturalistic settings has shown that music-related activities, such as singing, listening to music, or playing an instrument, reduce stress, but many, if not all of the studies, were controlled. This study provides an opportunity to examine the use and impact of music activities in an uncontrolled and natural setting. So participants, who were all undergraduate students at McMaster, filled out a survey right at the end of the final exam period in April. This survey had questions about their music background, participation in 16 extracurricular activities, including subjective ratings of how those activities contributed to their wellness. They were also asked about their interest in music, art, and verbal therapy, and they filled out the State Trait Anxiety Inventory, State Subscale, and the 10-item personality inventory. So, after some descriptive analyses, there are quite a few interesting trends. Firstly, 64.8% of students' state anxiety scores fell into the high anxiety category, showing, not surprisingly, that this population was very stressed at the time of the survey. When looking at the activities students were doing, 93.3% of students participated in at least one of listening to music, playing an instrument or singing, and songwriting, so music-based activities. To start examining how music activities compared to other activities, we looked at the subjective ratings of how students rate music and exercise activities for contributing to their wellness. So you can see here that the spread of ratings is very similar, with the majority of students who did each activity rating it as a 5 to 7 on a 7-point scale. This is really interesting because exercise is known to reduce stress, so students rating music as equally contributing to their wellness suggests that it plays a stress reduction role in their lives as well. Finally, these graphs show participants' interest in online drop-in therapy separated by gender. So more females said yes or maybe rather than no to both music and art therapy, but not to verbal therapy. And although for all types of therapy, more males said no, there is a trend towards more males saying yes or maybe to music therapy compared to the other two kinds. Now, this was not significant when adjusting for multiple comparisons, but it would be interesting to examine with a larger sample to see if the differences increase. And overall, when combining across genders, 51.3% of participants said yes or maybe they would be interested in music therapy. So, taken all together, these results suggest that students are using music to reduce stress during the pandemic, and that interest in music therapy is relatively high in this population. Some next steps for the project include putting out follow-up surveys to track wellness at different time points following the onset of the pandemic, and to further examine how music therapy could benefit students at McMaster as a proactive wellness treatment. And as with all research, this project would not have been possible without funders, and I've also been very lucky to be supported by great supervisors, and all of our contact information is here. Thank you so much for your time.